to my video. I'm Vinudhi Wahalathanthri and I'm here with my 23rd question set from the DBMS question series. So in this video, we are going to talk about the questions regarding the database we created in our 16th question set. So we created a database called ExamMarksDB and we added tables to it and added data to those tables. So now we are going to answer the questions regarding that database we created in question set 16. So we are going to answer these questions using queries such as insert queries, update queries, delete queries, search queries, join queries, and subqueries. So I'll be typing these queries in my HighDSQL software. So now let's see what our first question is. What is the lowest mark obtained for single subject in the first term? Okay, so when we consider this question, it's a select query. So they have told us to search the lowest mark obtained for singular in the first term. So let me show you all how I'm going to type this query. Okay, so now I have opened my HighDSQL software. So before that, let me show you all the data I have added in my ExamMarksDB database. So this is my class table and these are the data I have added to it. So likewise, this is my exam term table, student exam mark table, and this is my subject table. So back to our query. So let's begin to type our query. So before typing our main query, first I will inner join all the tables we need. So why am I coding this before the main query? So it's more easier because the other queries or the other questions, for the other questions and for those answers, we'll need these inner join tables. So we can copy and paste it. So therefore, I'll inner join all our tables. First, I will inner join the student table. So the student table is foreign keyed. So the student exam mark record table. So I will give the student exam mark record table. So it's foreign keyed to the student exam mark record table student index number column. So this index number is equal to the ID in the student table. So likewise, I will inner join the subject table as well. So I'm going to inner join it in the same method. So this subject table is also foreign keyed to the student exam mark record table in the subject ID column. So this subject ID column is equal to the ID in the subject table. So likewise, I will inner join our exam term table. So it's also foreign keyed in the student exam mark record table in the exam term ID column. So this term ID is equal to the term ID in the exam table. So likewise, next I'm going to inner join the class table. So this is foreign keyed in the student table in the class ID column in the student table. So it's equal to the ID in the class table. So likewise, I have inner joined all the tables. So I will select all and copy it because we'll be needing for the rest of the queries. Back to our main query. So let's begin to type the main query. So I'll begin by giving select all from and then our database name ExamMarksDB dot student exam mark record. So I will execute this query and this is the output we get for it. So now we have to find the minimum mark obtained for singular in the first term. So now I will inner join all the tables. So now I can paste this. So now let's begin to filter it. So using this where condition, I will filter it. So I'll give it as where exam term dot term name is equals to first term. So y'all should remember to give the correct spellings or an error will come. And I will give it as the subject name should be equals to singular language and literature. Okay, so now our query is done. Okay, so we won't be needing this class table, so I'll remove it. We won't be needing the student table as well. So I will remove these two tables. So now our query is done. Let's execute it. So 75 is the minimum mark obtained for Sinhala in the first term. So this is the answer for the first question. Let's move on to our next question. Find all the details of the students who got the lowest mark in the first term Sinhala subject. So now they have told us to find the details of the student who got the lowest mark in the first term Sinhala subject. So for this question, we can use subqueries as well. So that's the easiest way. So I'm going to use subqueries for this question. So I'll begin by giving select all from exam marks DB dot student exam mark records. So now I'll execute it. Okay, so now from over here, I'm going to give the details we need from the student table. So we'll be needing the student's index number and the student's first name, and we'll also need the student's last name and the student's gender, contact number, and we'll need the student's class. So we'll take it from the class table. Okay, so these are the details we need from the student and the class table. So now let's begin to inner join all the tables we need. So I will copy the tables. Okay, so this is the reason why I use the separate query tab to inner join all the tables and keep. So next, I'll begin to filter this. So I'll filter this by starting with a where condition. So first, I will check the student's mark. So I'll begin by taking the student exam mark record dot marks. And then I'll begin to give our subquery. So I'll give it as in. So this is the way we can identify a subquery. So a subquery begins by a equal mark or the word in. And a subquery is nested inside the main query. So it's nested inside brackets as well. So inside this subquery, I'm going to type select min, because it's the lowest mark, min, marks from student exam mark records table, where student exam mark records dot subject ID, and then I'll give another subquery in. Okay, so in this subquery, I'm going to give select subject dot subject ID from subject, where, okay, so now we are going to filter it where the subject dot subject name is equals to Sinhala language and literature. Okay, so Sinhala language and literature. So next I'm going to give a and condition and student exam mark records. So I'll give it over here and student exam mark records dot exam term ID, and then another subquery in select exam term ID from exam term, and then I'll give the where condition to filter it, where exam term dot term name is equal to first term. Okay, so now our query is completed. Let's execute it and see what our output is. Okay, so we are getting an error. Yes, there's a spelling mistake somewhere. Yes, language. Execute. Okay, so this is the answer for the second term. So the lowest mark is 75, and these are the students who have scored 75 for the first term. So let's prove it whether it's true. So I'll go to my student exam mark record table. So we need the index number 2, 4, and 8. So let's see index number 2. Okay, so over here they have 75. So that's for second term, and over here it's for first term. Next for 4, yes, first term. And for 8, yes, that is also so for first term. So this is the answer for the second question. So these are the students who have obtained low marks for first term in the Sinhala language examination. Let's move on to our next question. What is the lowest mark obtained in the second term science subject? So this question is similar to our first question, so therefore we can copy it. So we can do some few changes for it. So we can select minimum mark from exam marks DB, student exam mark records, and then we can inner join the subject table and the exam table. And now we can change our filters. So second term and the subject will become mathematics. Yes. Sorry, the subject should become science. Okay. So I'm going to give the subject as science, and now I'll execute it. So 45.52 is the answer for our third question. So this is the lowest mark obtained in second term for science. So let's move on to our next question. What is the minimum mark obtained for the subject of mathematics in the term examination held on 2020 7/10? So now they are asking us what is the minimum mark obtained for the subject of mathematics on this date, that means 2020, on the 10th of the 7th month. So now we used in our previous questions the term name. So now we have to use the term date. So because of that, we have to do some few changes in our query. So I will copy our before query and add some few changes. So for the subject name, I will give it as mathematics. Okay, so now over here I have to change this exam term dot term date. And the term date should be equal to 2020, 7th month, 10th date. So this should be our query. Let's execute it. So 44.12 is the answer for our fourth question. Okay, so this is the answer for the fourth question. Let's move on to our next question, the fifth one. Find all the details of the student who obtained the minimum mark obtained for the subject of mathematics in the term examination held on 2020, 7th month, 10th date. So now they have told us a question similar to the second question in question set 23. So now, therefore, we can copy that over here, and we can add changes to our query. So now we have to change the subject name to mathematics. And then we should change the exam term date. So it should be equal to 2020, 10th. Okay, so this should be the query for our last question. Select the student index number, the first name, last name, gender, contact number, class name, and from the database exam marks DB, student exam mark record table, and then we have inner joined the student table, subject table, exam term table, and the class table, and then we have filtered it using the where condition. So we have filtered the marks to be the minimum mark, and the subject to be mathematics, and the term date to be this date. Let's execute it. So Sandun Vijay Ratna is the only student who has scored less marks for this on this date for mathematics. So the lowest mark is 44.12, and Sandun Vijay Ratna has scored that. So let's prove it. So Sandun Vijay Ratna's student ID is 1. So we'll go to 1, 44.12. Yes. So he is the student who have scored 44.12 in the second term. So that date is the date for the second term over here. So 2020, 7th month, 10th date. So this is the answer for our last question, Sandun Vijay Ratnam. So that's it for our question set 23. So I hope you understood what I explained. So thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. So I'll be back with a new video. So until then, have a nice day and bye.